key and amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Terrence.
What's up?
All right, guys, we're back. This is episode 172 for Uncorked. This is a review of Uncorked. It is streaming on Netflix right now. Okay, so the general story of this is you've got a young guy in his 20s who works at his mom and dad's local business in Memphis, a barbecue spot, which is like the least shocking business in Memphis. And he has aspirations to actually be a sommelier, which is a wine expert. But his father wants him to help him continue the family business after he, goes. So there's a level of conflict there. So I obviously none of us had seen this movie because it just came out on Netflix. I thought it was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny in parts and had some good serious moments. I thought it simultaneously ran straight forward into some movie tropes that I think work for it while also avoiding some, which is really nice. Overall, I thought it was a really good watch. The acting was really good. I'm going to butcher this guy's first name, I'm sure. So I apologize. Mamadou Athie plays Elijah, the lead. It also co-stars Courtney B. Vance and Niecy Nash as his parents. I thought all the acting was good. I thought it had some really funny parts, like really straight-laced, delivered lines, especially by Courtney B. Vance. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it hit on all cylinders for me. It's a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, this is just like a nice little movie, right? It's like Chef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just a well-made movie. There's nothing there aren't, different like camera angles and styles and all that. Like it's just it doesn't overstay its welcome. The pace feels good. It's well acted all the way around. One of the tropes I didn't like is, one of the characters has to die for the other two to kind of come together. I get it, but I don't. The thing about this movie that I guess if you want like some sort of critique is that I've seen enough movies where I can kind of guess the plot.
Yeah, I guessed the plot in the beginning. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And, as soon as one character was like, oh, my cancer's in remission. Well,
I was like, okay.
I mean,
spoiler alert, what's going to happen here?
Right. That's Chekhov's cancer, guys. Like, it's you're not going to bring that up if it's not going to be, paid off somewhat. But, this is just a solid movie, man. It's a real good watch. This is how this movie's good. My wife, when we watch TV and stuff together, you can always tell when she is not into something because she is doing this the whole time with her phone, she's looking at it. And for some reason it bothers me. It shouldn't, but it does. And
I know why it bothers, because you're supposed to be paying attention because they might ask you what happened later on. And I'm like, nigga, we were both watching.
Right.
I've had those conversations far too many times. But
my wife asked me questions about a movie neither one of us have seen during the movie. I don't know. I'm watching it. I don't know.
Right. But
I don't know the plot.
For this, she did not touch her phone once, and that's the mark of a solid ass movie. So
yeah,
this movie gets a no phones out of 5.
no phones necessary out of 5.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, I had seen people were watching this when it came out, like that week that it had come out. People were talking about, "Oh, Uncorked is it's a cool, sweet movie, yada yada yada." And then we were going to do it. And my worry was that it's a movie that's Black centric, but like people liked it just because of that.
Right. That's fair.
I was like,
is it good?
Movie and be like, is it really, or is it just because there's a bunch of Black people in it? But no, watching it, I'm like, no, I really liked it. It was good. It was dope. The story was cliche. It's nothing I've never seen before. But what I liked about it was while it was a black movie, it did not rely on being black. Like the main characters being all black. Like that didn't even come into play. Like it came into play organically. Like when he went to the wine college to study, there's like he was the only black person there.
Right.
Aside from the professor. One of the professors in there. And I thought that was cool. Like they didn't beat it over your head, except for his father a couple times, which is funny. But no, all the acting was great. It's just a solid movie. Like I would recommend it to anybody. It's fun. It's sweet, like everybody said. It's a cool movie.
Yeah. One thing I failed to mention that I actually really liked is I thought the soundtrack was really good.
Yeah, and I don't really fuck with that music like
All
that,
original
but
music.
it really worked.
Yeah,
It is really
Yeah.
Yeah,
all
it's
original music.
for the movie.
that it just goes to show you how much trap music all sounds alike.
Yeah,
I just assumed it was all music that was
songs
out.
really.
I
Yeah.
didn't know.
No, it really worked for this movie. Yeah, I was like, this kind of dope. It slaps a little bit.
Yeah. Well, one thing I thought was interesting. Like, so just to give this person credit, I assume it's a guy. Hit Boy is the person who does all the music. What's interesting is they do this thing that I actually really appreciate in smaller movies like this is like with the soundtrack. One, it's tied to, in this case, to the culture of the characters, right? Like that makes sense and for obvious reasons. But they make a change to the soundtrack later on when he goes to Paris, and it's just all French, like hip hop. Right. And I thought that was cool. Like they kept the same feel, but like just to let you know you're in a different part of the world. I thought that was like a nice transition without it being like suddenly like old school French music, which would pair very differently. Right? Like, okay. But they kind of kept that.
That would have been the wrong wine for this movie.
Very good. So I just, I appreciate little things like that. I thought it was good. And like, I found myself laughing at a lot of moments that were just super dry lines delivered by Courtney B. Vance with just not a single smirk on his face the entire time.
He played the shit out of a father, you know.
Yeah, he was good.
A black dad, man.
Yeah. No, he got a son just like this. He wasn't acting.
Yeah.
He's like, can you stop calling me John? Like, no, I'm sorry, but you acting just like my son. Like, it was clear that came from somewhere very real for Courtney B. Vance. At least it felt that
His
way.
Father. Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Dad, I'm going to be an actor. What the fuck? If you don't go cook them ribs. So, yeah, I just thought it was good. But again, I think it was able to ride a line. And I think that comparison to Chef is a perfect one. Like, that's just who doesn't like that movie?
Right.
Like, it's a movie you'd be hard pressed. Again, another one with a great soundtrack, by the way. But just, you'd be hard pressed to find someone watch that movie and go, that just didn't do it for me. I'm like, it's just a down the ballot. It just works. Yeah, you can see the ending coming, but it just works. Some movies are like that.
If you're gonna have a movie like that, like it better be good.
Yeah, it has to be.
There's nothing wrong with like I hate to keep using food references, but it's like comfort food, right? Like you're just sitting there watching this movie, like it's not sometimes watching these movies are a chore, like a real chore.
Yeah, there are definitely movies like that.
But this is not.
Spoiler alert to probably 2 weeks from now.
Oh, I've already seen it. Ain't gonna be no show for me. I'm gonna skim that motherfucker. But no, you're absolutely right. Like I started it just hoping for the best, and it grabbed me, and I just sat there and watched it. It's an hour and 44 minutes.
It was a quick watch.
Yeah, quick watch. It's fun. Like, yeah, I really dug it.
Yeah. So there you go. So if you are interested in Uncorked, just from a 10,000 foot view, it's definitely worth your time. Okay. So the movie opens up. Actually, Mike, you wanted to talk about the director?
Yeah. So the director is Prentice Penny, and I was like, wow, this movie feels like Insecure. And
I'm sorry. Whew. I thought you meant the movie Insecure. I was like, nigga, what are you talking about? The show.
It feels like the television show Insecure.
Thank you.
So I looked up
clarify
Prentice Penny, and he has been a writer, director, producer for a lot of shows that you like. Insecure being one of them.
Makes sense.
Girlfriends being another. It's my understanding that the Girlfriends is really good. I haven't seen it. He's been a writer for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Scrubs.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
It's a bunch of stuff that's like, oh wow, this is actually really good.
These are all the shows I watch. So yeah, okay, that works.
So yeah,
that
this dude is. I hope that there's a lot more work coming his way. He's only 45. And,
yeah,
I know, right?
This is his directorial debut. Is that right?
No. He has directed. Well, yeah, no, it is. It's his feature debut.
Yeah, feature. Okay.
Yeah, it's his feature debut.
All right.
I mean, not bad.
I was gonna say it's pretty good coming out of the gate. That's not bad at all. So the movie opens up with what I thought was a very clever way to even start the film, which is to sort of show this juxtaposition of people at a vineyard or winery, depending on your preference, working to make wine, juxtaposed with Elijah's father, played by Courtney B. Vance, named Lewis, by the way, getting like food ready for his barbecue place, right? Like he's preparing ribs and like getting the smoker going. What I assume is like 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's 4 in the morning.
Thanks for your work, but good Lord, it's a lot for just meat. So it's sort of showing the point there is both things are equally, intense to do. It takes a level of passion and seriousness to do them, whether you like ribs or whether you like wine or you like both, right? So I think that helps to sort of equalize them in the minds of people who may see one as more important or like they enjoy one over the other, right? It's just kind of like, just bring it down to the same level, because that is important. Because if you don't think they are, then it kind of throws the entire movie into kind of a tailspin. If you're like, I don't give a fuck about wine. Wine's not important. It's bullshit. I only care about ribs. Well, then you're going to have like Courtney B. Vance's perspective over the main character, basically. So I thought this was a smart move.
Yeah, the first thing I thought was who determines what's more important? As far as, because
money.
Yeah, each individual person. But like the thing is, like
money.
In this world, we look at wine as a more sophisticated art form than ribs. Just period. Like in reality, we look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
and like the movie kind of made it look like that also. Because I mean, like a lot goes into cooking some good ribs. Like clearly, the nigga's up at 4 a.m.
Right.
But like there's billions of different types of wines and shit like that. His test seemed ridiculous.
Here's the thing.
I was like, nigga, I am not doing. How much money do you make for being a sommelier?
You could do pretty well. You could do pretty well. Like if you're at a high enough end restaurant, you could easily make 6 figures. Easily. Again, the hell that they have to go through to get that. I'm like, be a doctor. That seems like less work. You don't have to know all the surgeries that have ever happened in the history of surgery. Like, it's insane. Like do this blind surgery. Well, I don't really know how to do that. Well, you failed.
Throw a chunk of, just throw an organ on a table and be like, where's that? Where it came from?
What year? What year was the person when they died? They go, what kind of rules are these? Yeah, I mean, to your point, Terrence, I agree with you. Like, who determines like what is more important? Because yeah, like I've made ribs, but I can't make ribs like they make ribs. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's why I pay, right? So it is a question of, I guess probably, I mean, part of it is rich people determine what is worth more, or like that's just kind of how that goes, unfortunately. But it's also,
like I guarantee you, if they were in the back at 4 o'clock in the morning in a bunch of suits and shit making ribs, then maybe it would be, which is weird to me, right? Because you go to a fancy steakhouse or whatever, and they give you wine with whatever slab of meat that they put in front of you.
Right.
So I understand.
It's like, so what's the more important part of that meal? The meat or the fucking wine?
Yeah, the protein.
Like the wine, you get a wine costs more than the fucking meat. Suck my dick.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Just to get a bunch of feet grapes, like get out of here. Man.
All right. This is a disgusting conversation. No,
as you drink wine.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. I'm drinking a very good wine actually tonight. But I think the argument that they would make, and I'm not saying it's correct, but the argument they would make is the process to make wine is harder, right? Like, I can't make this at home. Like, I can't, right? Like, that process, it's like beer. Why is, it's the same reason, like, you making beer at home, you can do it. It's a lot of fucking work. So that's why it's a premium, right? That's why it costs more. And I think it's the same with wine. Like, they have wine making sets, but like, people don't really do that shit. Like, is it going to be good? Probably not. It's going to be fucking terrible. Unless you know what you're doing. Like, you really know what you're doing. And the same thing is like with ribs, but you can buy ribs cheaper than you can buy these fancy fucking grapes from a specific part of fucking Europe. Like, that's just the way it goes. So I'm not saying one is more important. I think they go together well. Like, that's my whole thing. I'll fuck up some ribs without wine, and I will fuck up some wine without ribs. So I don't really give a shit. Damn, I kind of want some ribs now.
Yeah, me too. The whole time I was watching this goddamn movie.
Like, this sucks, man.
How is you're drinking wine? How is the wine porn in this movie?
It's decent. It's decent. Like, it's more about him than it is the wine. Like, there are certainly movies, like, again, to compare it to Chef, like, there's that is a food porn movie. I'm starving when I'm watching that movie. Jesus Christ. So yeah, there's a little bit. I wouldn't say it's crazy.
Probably the beginning would be the most,
like porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like showing them make the wine.
Like, I know you're not a Somali pirate or whatever, but
you going to Africa? Nigga, that scene was hilarious.
But did you catch any of the terminology or anything?
Sure.
Like when they were taking their tests and shit.
Yeah, I mean they're talking about regions and stuff like that. I mean, I know some things. I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I'm so well versed or whatever. Like, I'm not. Like, I don't just pick labels that sound cool. Like, I know what wines are, right? Like, but when I started at first drinking wine, I was like, yo, this label looks dope. Like, that was enough. And that, look, quiet as it's kept.
His cousin was like, it's in cursive.
Right. But the funny thing is, like, that line is funny, but at the same time, when you're just starting out drinking wine, that is kind of how you make choices. Like, cause you don't know. You're just like, what the fuck is a Chablis? I don't know what that is. What's a Côte d'Arona? You don't know. So you just, like, one of the wines I got, like, when my wife and I went on our first date, I got it. I knew it was a cab. I like Cabernets, but I had never had it before, but I thought the label looked dope because it was called Educated Guess, and it had a bunch of like arithmetic and shit all over it. And I was like, that's a cool bottle. That was it. I don't fucking know. You know what? It actually is good.
Yeah, this nigga picked the nerd wine.
I did. It looked cool. I'll see if I can find the label. I'll message to you. Like, it was actually like, it was a cool label, but that's the only reason why I picked it. I didn't fucking know. And then sometimes you get one, you're like, this is trash. This is not good. So it's like beer. Sometimes you get a beer and you're like, I don't like this. It's as simple as that.
Happens.
Yeah, it does. Not that it's like there's a problem with it. Just like, I don't like the taste of this. Like with anything with hops in it, because I'm a bitch.
It's got like equations and shit on it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
This nigga.
Yeah, I'm a dork. It's all right.
Napa Valley plus something over Cabernet Sauvignon or whatever.
Sauvignon.
Whatever.
This is the most ignorant ass conversation. Yeah. So, yeah, it's fine. Whatever. the movie opens again with this sort of juxtaposition between the two. Then we see Elijah. He works at a wine store, which is where a lot of people who want to be sommeliers kind of start out, or in restaurants. And this girl walks in, who is rather cute, I might add, named Tanya. And she's there with her friends, and Elijah tries to he pulls a J, and he tries to impress her with his knowledge of wine, which is what I did with my now wife. See, it worked. And so he starts to compare wines to wrappers, which it's a cute moment, but I'm like, yo, this is slightly offensive. Like
why was it? I don't know shit about wine.
No, it felt offensive. Like, hey, here's a way that you'll understand this. Like, it felt like slightly talking down to her. Like, she found it cute, so it worked. But I was kind of like, this could have gone a completely different direction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see
clearly she didn't know what the fuck she was talking about when she walked in there.
Right? No, I know. I just like I was kind of like, how's this one gonna go? But yeah, he's like comparing stuff to like, oh, this is like the Jay-Z of wine, because it's like this is old school or like incredibly popular. It's very good. And he talks about like a Pinot Grigio and shit like that. So,
did you find the analogies apt?
I can't.
Wife did. I asked my wife, and she was like,
"Oh,
kinda, yeah,
yeah," because he said Pinot Grigio's like Kanye West. Yeah, look, Kanye West, he's kind of like a drunk white woman on a Saturday morning. Yeah, that seems about right. And then I can't remember what he called Jay-Z.
Oh, he said Jay-Z was the white one. I forget what he said.
It was a Chardonnay. Yeah, Chardonnay is a pretty classic. Like
he said, Rieslings. He said Rieslings are like Drake.
Yeah. Okay. So
they're crisp, clean, and usually kind of sweet.
What's funny?
Yeah.
What's funny?
I mean. Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. Some Rieslings are sweet, some Rieslings are dry. So I guess it depends on which Drake you get. Drake likes to have sex with young girls, so whatever. He does.
He got a kid.
So?
With a kid. What?
Nah, that woman is not a kid.
That woman is not a child.
No, she is not.
Oh.
She used to be a porn star. Good
I
Lord.
don't know anything about Drake.
You should look up his baby mama.
Yeah.
All right, let me look.
I'm just saying, like, now she looks a lot better than she did during that career.
I'm really upset.
But if you ever wondered, does Drake like black women? Drake likes black women bodies. I can tell you that.
I'm very upset that Google. I was typing Drake BA and then baby mama IG.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, she does not look bad. Now she got some of that Drake money. So good for her. Yeah. So he meets Tanya. He has this conversation with her, and it's cute. And like the nerd that he is, he does not seal the deal. But he's like, he's feeling a little confident, right? Like that all worked out. That the interaction worked out. Then he realizes he's late for work because he's working part-time at this wine store and also at his parents' restaurant, which again is a barbecue place in Memphis. And he hightails it over to his dad's restaurant and gets in there like cutting ribs or what have you. And his dad is just giving him a hard time about being late and taking his job serious.
Boy, I see a lot of my father in
Nigga, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to have a conversation with Mike about this.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, like, is that part of the reason this movie speaks to you?
Yeah, it is. It's 100%.
I figured.
It ain't the wine. I can tell you that shit right now. No, it's being a hard ass and awkward conversations. And yeah, that's the thing that got me. And I was talking with my wife and I'm like, yo, I really don't want to be like this when I get older, but I'm already old and I already feel myself like becoming less patient and like I have to check myself sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish you would.
It's only going to get worse. So,
I don't think that has to be. I don't think it has to be the thing. You find yourself less patient even though you have a kid?
Yeah, I find myself, because I have to have more patience with him.
Oh, with him.
I have
Okay.
less patience with everything.
Oh,
else.
Okay. 100% understand. I thought you meant with him. I'm like, no, I need extreme patience with them. Right. Okay.
Right. He can't do, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
He's going to get to a point where he's going to grow up, and then me having less patience is going to shift over.
Right. He joins the collective of things that you have less patience for.
Right.
That's
so, that's a big fear of mine, man. Like, I don't want to pressure him or guilt trip him into something that I want him to do. But at the same time, I do that, right? Like, I do that. I do that. I do that with, I do that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, my wife and I were talking about that. Like, it is almost impossible not to do that to some extent as a parent, right? Because you spend, let's say, 18 years, 20 years probably 18 years, like making almost every major decision for them. And also every small decision for them, right? When they're little, from like what they eat to where they sleep to, what they wear, all of that. And then all of a sudden you're just supposed to go click, do whatever you want. Like, that's hard, right? And they're going to make mistakes. And you're like, yeah, don't go to clown college. That's a bad idea. And they're like, don't tell me what to do, Dad. Like you can't help but have that perspective of like, but I know what's best for you. Like, I get that. And that's basically Courtney B. Vance's issue. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want your life. Like, like he doesn't want to be a ribs guy. So,
but then Courtney B. Vance was, he said, this is just like when you wanted to be a DJ, and this is just like when you wanted to do something
right.
else.
And so he has experience to say that you failed at the thing.
They had to throw that in there. I'm like, well, at first I'm like, why are you being such a fucking asshole?
Right.
And then he brought those up. I'm like, oh, so he's got a slight history of doing things and not finishing them. Okay.
Right.
So.
Right. And I mean, and that's common, right? Like, he's supposed to be in his 20s. Like, yeah, everybody has. Very rarely do people jump into their 20s, know exactly what they're going to do that, and do it for the rest of their lives. Yeah. I mean, most people don't. Like, I mean, or they jump and do that for a number of years, and then they realize that, like, at age 40, they'd rather blow their brains out than to go back into their fucking horrible corporate jobs. And they're so thankful that COVID-19 has kept them at home with their family. Allegedly. Just saying. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. God, I don't want to go back. So then we get a scene, like, while he's working in the restaurant, we get a scene of his cousin, Elijah's cousin coming in, who is just great comic relief for the entire movie. And he basically comes in with, like, I guess a stand-in for Megan Thee Stallion. And he's like, yo, can you hook me up with some, like, free food? What's that?
She told him at the very least.
Yeah. She got some games too. Anyway, fine with it. So he thinks he can get like a hookup or whatever. And his uncle yells from the back. He's like, nah, you don't hook that nigga basically with nothing. And he's like, yo, come on, Unc. Like, what's the deal? And so he's trying to get, like, free, like, get some rib tips and extra beans for his girl, because she's a thicker girl. So good for him.
He said, "You want some extra?" He's like, "Oh, I know you want some."
Of course you do. Of course you do. That shit was funny. Then we see Courtney B. Vance's character Lewis. Him and Elijah going to get more wood for their, like, I guess they're buying in bulk or what have you. And it's all of this is to show, like, Elijah is not particularly interested. Like, he's doing it because he has to, but he's not interested in sort of carrying on this legacy, because it's actually juxtaposed to sort of a wine event that Elijah goes to by himself. And he is the only black person there, sort of checking it out. And I thought they were going to kind of play up the, like, heavier, the fact that he's black in this extremely white, part of the world. But they touch on it here and there, but they don't beat you over the head with it because it's like it's pretty obvious. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's why I
fucking
kinda
wine, dude.
Yeah, that's why I actually liked it because they didn't like point it out like he's the only black person. Like, yeah, we know.
Right.
Which is really weird, man, because like this isn't a new phenomenon, or if it is
No.
new, like black people have been drinking wine for years, man. Like it's my wife and her friends do an annual wine trip.
Yeah.
Like they go somewhere where there's a winery and they just get drunk. I mean, drink wine. And
That's what uppity Negroes.
yeah,
I don't go to fucking wine tastings and shit like that.
Whatever, Terrence, get out of here.
What?
Terrence is a huge wine guy. A little known fact.
But like this is the
beer
thing,
guy.
right? Like
Yeah,
I
you're
could
more of a
see-
beer guy.
But I could see you going to one of these things.
Me?
No, Terrence. I could see Terrence going to one of these things.
Going to want
Just
to
to
what?
try, just to try it out. You wouldn't try to.
Yo, he gave him the fucking people's eyebrows. Like,
To one of these?
what?
Yeah, to one of those wine tasting events. You wouldn't
I
go
don't
to-
see that at all.
No, I don't drink wine. Yeah, why would I do that?
Yo, if it was a date, you wouldn't do it. You would just put your foot down and just be like, no.
I mean, if it's a date.
All right, then you would do it then.
Well, you don't drink, so never mind. I was going to ask if you did,
I would do it.
Yeah, of course. She gonna give me some? All right, I'm gonna go.
Whatever, but like,
I like to think that I'm somewhere in between you two.
You're not.
I'm not-
You're
I'm not as-
far worse than both of us.
I'm not as black as Terrence. I'm not as white as Jay.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
like, look, the conversations we've had over the past couple weeks, I don't know the hierarchy.
Right. Thank
between
you, yo.
two niggas.
Thank you. Thank you. What was that conversation?
Don't
Oh,
even eat fucking grilled cheese sandwich.
yeah. You had to go to a fancy grilled cheese
I
sandwich
do
place.
eat grilled
Shut
cheese
up.
Sandwiches. They just have protein in them.
That's
Because-
not a grilled cheese. That's a panini, my nigga. It's a panini. Yo, stop it. You go
Yeah,
to
I mean,
GCDC. Shut your
someone-
mouth. Shut up.
If someone suggested that we go, I mean, whatever. But
Exactly.
I mean, I'm
You
not
would do it.
completely averse to wine, but I don't drink it. Like if it was like a beer event, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like beer.
And the way beer, I mean, look, beer ain't nothing but beer. Beer has become the new wine. Beer has become wine for uppity people who don't want to be sedity.
That's fair. That is very fair, actually.
Yeah.
Look at JTD and tell me that that nigga who has a
he makes his
brewery,
own fucking beer.
right? Like, come on.
Yeah,
saw this movie-
he's two steps from drowning in a bottle of wine. Get out of here.
He saw this movie, and I can tell when he saw this movie because he posted, "I want to be a sommelier now." Like, yeah, all right. I guess somebody just watched Uncorked.
I believe I responded to that by saying, "Nigga, you won't be a sommelier until somebody asks you to pair a beer with a hamburger. Get out of here." Something to that effect. No, so okay. Yeah, like wine events range from like snooty shit like he went to
Mad pretentious, you know. Like I would be angry the entire time. Like, oh, this is a blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, you know.
but Terrence,
Notes of whatever. I'm like, whatever, nigga. It don't taste good.
this don't taste like leather. But it goes from that all the way to like black people have a very specific thing about them, which is we can put our spin on anything. And there's actually a vineyard not too far from you, Terrence. And they put on an event, like a multi-day event in the summer. Yo, that shit is fucking black as fuck. It's like an old school black cookout. And it's done by this vineyard. Oh, they got I don't want to give the name because I don't want to give the wrong name. Oh, Liganor, I think. Which I think is maybe like less than 30 minutes from you. Oh, they had like a reggae band, people down there like grinding and shit because they're so drunk off wine. Nigga, it was black as fuck. Like, it is not like that, like in the movie at all. So black people have a tendency to put their own spin on things, which is fine because that's when I started dating that woman who was like a number of years above my age. I met her at that event. She was wild. It was great. So, yeah. So yeah, they're not all shitty, ridiculous events. But the one he goes to is certainly pretty snooty. So after that, we see Elijah going back to work. He's talking to his boss at the wine store about some of the wines that he had there, and he's like really amped about it. And he's like talking about, oh, it's from this place and it's from this this region, and it was from this year, and yada yada yada. And how when they do wine tastings at their place in Memphis, that they always do the same sort of thing, and maybe they should bring some of these newer wines and these different wines and let people in Memphis try them out, right? Like that would be a benefit to them, which I can understand, considering sometimes people assume people aren't ready for something a little out of their comfort zone. But that's how you get people to try things, right? Like wines or whatever that may be. That doesn't just have to be alcohol, but a bunch of things. So he's sort of advocating for that. And his boss is like, all right, we'll see, maybe. And then his boss is like, look, you should probably go for the sommelier test since you're like super into this. And like he went for it back in the day. I guess they're implying that his boss has a master sommelier pin, which is, I hate to say this, highly unlikely. But that's just because it's incredibly difficult to get. Like they say in the movie, 230 people have it. Currently, worldwide, there's only 274 people who have a master sommelier diploma. So
that's ridiculous.
Like, it just is.
Just saying, it's really fucking hard. It's incredibly hard. Now, the movie doesn't actually touch on all of the points of getting a master sommelier pin, but they just basically have him go to school and then go for the exam. Which it's a movie. I understand they're condensing for time, but there's actually 3 levels before the master sommelier exam. Like it's really difficult to get through those. So, which is why there's only 274. It's not just one test and that's it. It's actually, most people have like an introductory or certified sommelier, pin, but after that it gets super low. So yeah. And you have to like be in the industry for a number of years to even sit for those classes. So then we see Elijah's back at the store. It's late, and here comes Tanya. She comes in. She's asking more about some wines. She's clearly like, "Here's my phone number," and he's just like, "Can you teach me some moves?" Like he's just confused, right? He just doesn't know. So he's like, "Yeah, I can take your number down for this list for Wine Enthusiast magazine." And she's like, "Yes, take my number and call it." And he's like, "Oh, got it. I figured it out. This woman wants me to call her." And so eventually they actually start dating. Then we see what is a hilarious scene of Elijah and all of his family talking, and then he reveals that he wants to be a master sommelier. His cousin and his, I guess, aunt thought he wanted to be a Somali citizen, so they thought he was going to Africa.
You trying to be African?
Yeah, and he's just like, that's not what I was saying at all. And of course, Niecy Nash's mom is like defending him, and like she doesn't like every good black mom. She doesn't quite necessarily even understand what he's talking about, but she knows he's passionate about it, and that's what he wants to do, so she's supporting him. Which that's what a parent's supposed to do, as long as it's not destructive behavior. Like you're supposed to support him. And so, of course, Lewis, his dad, is just like, yeah, it sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. Better get to cooking these ribs. And then his wife, Niecy Nash is like, yo, you need to relax, basically in front of everybody. And like Courtney B. Vance's character is slightly irritating to me because he's the classic dad who doesn't want to hear anything from his son. He just wants his son to do what he says instead of actually having an opinion. But again, I mean, that is some dads. I'd like to think I would not be like that. But if my kids said they wanted to go to clown college, I probably wouldn't be too pleased about it. Shout out to people in clown college, I guess.
Is that a thing?
Yes, it's a very real thing.
You need to train to be a proper clown.
See, now if your kid came to you and was like, "Dad, Papa Terrence, I'm about to be Bozo the Black Clown. I'm going to Clown University. You just gonna let that shit slide?
Like, do I look like a joke to you?
He's ready. He's ready.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy to me. I didn't know there was such. I thought that was just like a turn of phrase.
No,
It's really clown colleges.
Yeah,
I guess
anything to get money out of people.
Yeah, I'd rather. However, I would give up the money to send my kid to clown college before I would send him to Trump University. So, you know,
isn't that clown college?
Well, it's run by a clown.
And in this, in the scene where mom and dad are talking, mom shuts down dad's advances for some ass.
Yeah, you fucked up. Because she sucked dick every day.
Yeah, she.
That's what she said. I didn't say it. That's what she said.
Correct.
And she got a divorce. What was that nigga's problem? You fool.
And we get introduced to the fact that she wears a bunch of wigs.
Yeah.
And even though her cancer is in remission.
Right. Which, again, like you said earlier, that's not going to go well.
Yeah, that's Chekhov's disease right there. That's coming back to shoot your ass. But,
yeah. We see a scene of what I would refer to as my personal nightmare. Time at a roller skate rink.
Last time you been
Nigga, I can't skate to save my life. If you put a 9mm to my forehead and be like, skate around this rink without busting your ass, I'm dead. Just shoot me right now. No.
It's been, Jesus Christ, 25 years?
It's been
a very long time since I went to a goddamn skate rink.
It's been about a year and a half for me. Because one of our friends, she wanted a birthday at a skate rink. So her husband.
A grown ass person?
Yeah.
I ain't coming.
At a skate rink.
I ain't coming. Don't call me.
And yeah, it was very awkward. Like my wife was taking pictures of me. I look like a giraffe. Like it just did not work. I'm way too big.
Yeah, you're
My
too tall, man.
Gravity is way too high to be put on fucking roller skates, man.
Hey, you're already walking on stilts as it is.
And then of course,
you're only like an inch taller than me. I can roller skate.
Can you? Can you do the
alcohol?
It's water.
Okay.
This guy's drinking vodka straight from a jug. Jesus Christ, Terrence, take it easy.
I can roller skate. I can't do that backward shit.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I can when I'm doing this and fucking falling
on your ass.
No, you'll never.
Yeah, old people, because they ain't had nothing to do back in the day. They ain't have video games back then, so they making fun of me and shit, doing all this slaloms and shit, and looking like an R. Kelly video. Fuck off,
yo. I'm telling you, man. I can't imagine a time, like a worse time for me than spending time in a roller skate rink. Like I can't imagine. Like, oh, here's an activity. Yeah, I can't skate. It's miserable for me. Like I'm like, do they have
no balance? You have what is it? You just can't.
I don't, I think I'm so afraid I'm going to fall and just crack my fucking skull on that floor. Like I can't get that shit out of my head. Like no, I don't enjoy it. I do what every other good nerd does. I'm like, do they have arcade games here? And I walk my ass right over there, and that's where I stay. Leave me alone. Yeah, don't call me. Come on out to the floor.
I feel like it's like skating. I feel like it's like riding a bike. I'll probably go put some skates on and be fine.
You probably would be.
A very long time. A very long time.
But you can totally skate competently around the ring.
Yeah. I used to rollerblade.
Oh, that looks... No, they just snap your ankle right off. No. Absolutely not. How Micah feels about drinking, that's how I feel about roller skating. It's a stupid idea and you shouldn't do it.
Have you ever done it?
Drinking? Yes.
No, roller skating. Like, you've never been roller skating?
No, I have.
Rink and you just was like, nah, I can't do
No, I have fallen. If I've fallen 1,000 times, I've fallen 5 times. Like, nah, yo. It's not fun for me. And look, back then, like, you go to a roller skate ring, like, if you're good, then you can, like, girls are like, oh, he's so good. Nah, that's the exact opposite situation for me. They're like, look at this nigga. He can't stand up. Like, I think he's mentally ill. Yeah, I get it.
In my weird brain, I thought that women thought that if a man could roller skate, he knows how to fuck.
Right. It's like the dancing thing.
And I can't roller skate, so I don't want people to think, oh, well, this guy don't know how to fuck. So
that makes a lot of sense. In both of our diseased minds, that makes a lot of
sense at all.
No. Well, neither does dancing have to do with sex. No, it don't. Just because I can't do the electric slide don't mean I can't blow your back out. Surprise.
Have you tried ice skating? No,
I have. Oh, I have.
How the fuck have you tried ice skating if you can't even roller skate?
Because I dated a white woman once, and that's their roller skating, and I tried it, and I'm not good at that either.
That's harder. I did that a couple years ago. I didn't bust my ass. I was surprised. I'd never done it before.
I have to use the like little kid thing that they make out of. Have you ever seen that? That they make out of PVC pipe that you hold and like push around. Yeah, you look like a fucking invalid. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, no, this is stupid. And now I'm cold too. At least in a roller skate rink, it's warm. I'm in the climate of my people. No, fuck that. Ice skating, roller skating, it's all bullshit. It's a lie. It's out there to make certain people look bad. I won't play your game. So at the roller skate rink, basically Tanya's like, hey, you should go out and try to do the Sommelier thing. She thinks she's actually upsetting him at one point because she kind of like stopped making excuses. And he takes a little bit of an offense to that, but like not really. And so she's like, you should really try to pursue this Sommelier thing if that's what you want to do. Like a strong black woman and a good person, she helps him out. Good. She pushes him in the right direction.
What I like about this movie regarding their relationship.
Yeah.
It is, it's very realistic, right? Like, yes, they have a couple of, little incidents of conflict, verbal conflict.
Really only one, I thought.
Right. Really one. Like if you count the one in the skate rink as one and then the bigger one as the other one.
Yeah.
But it is very clearly because one person said something, the other person took it a different way. And they used a conversation to fix it, and they didn't let it dwell and fester, and right. That wasn't like a ongoing thing, and they didn't wait to the end of the fucking movie to resolve it. Like, I really, really appreciate that because that's how arguments with loved ones should be handled. Right. I don't know if it is all the time, but that's how they should be handled.
Right. No, I agree with that. Yeah, the other trope that this movie avoids, which I really appreciated, well, two things. One, when he's not in the wine world, like, and that's getting ready to start to get rolling in a second. When he's not in that, when he's back in his, like, working at a rib shop, in Memphis, he's not like dodging violence in the neighborhood.
Bullets and shit.
Right. Like, I was like, thank you. Yo, like, black people just live, my nigga. Like, we're not all in Menace to Society episode, like parts of Menace to Society. So, like, I appreciated it wasn't like, there's like a gang member like, nigga, if you don't pass the Sommelier test, I'm gonna shoot your dad. Like, what the fuck? Like, why? So, like, that was nice that they avoided that. I appreciated that. And the other thing I liked was that at no point did they say, they didn't try, no one tried to take his blackness away from him because he liked wine. Right, yeah. Which I thought was really important. And to me, that's one of those things that can be the difference between a movie like this being palatable to everybody and then starting to alienate people, right? Like, because it's very easy to be like, oh, you like wine, you white nigga. Like there's a lot of black people who like wine. Like black people own vineyards. Like it's 2020. It's not 1940. Like we don't need to do that. So I appreciated that they never did that. No white person in the movie was like, what are you doing here, nigger? Like that wasn't a thing. It was just this guy trying. He had friends who were white and I guess South Asian, trying to do this alongside him, which I thought was good. They didn't have another black guy who was like weirdly his rival for no fucking reason. Like, there can only be one nigga in this, in this barrel. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, they avoided all of that and they just made him a person instead of like a person who is in fact black, but not his blackness was not a thing that ever hindered him, which I appreciated. Like I just on whether from black people or from white people or through his own view of himself, like his blackness never came into question as far as whether he would make it or not, which I thought was very good, and I really appreciated that.
Written by a reasonable person.
Yeah,
if this was written by like fucking Tyler Perry, you would have seen all of that shit.
You know what? If it was written by a white person,
I was about to say a white person or like Tyler Perry, something like that. You'd had every single one of those.
Yeah. It's really hard for me in the ghetto to get up every day and take care of my baby sister because both of my parents are on crack, so I could go down to the local sommelier school so I can get us out of here, and then eventually we'll move to Africa and I'll be an expert in African wines. Like, shut the fuck up. No, this nigga lives in Memphis. He gonna make it. That's it.
His parents had a nice fucking house.
Right, they were doing really pretty good. They were doing pretty good. Like. They had a small business. It was successful. They weren't shady as fuck.
Another one.
Right.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Right. They were like it's very reminiscent of like 90s black movies. Like everybody is just doing good. Like everything is mostly fine. Like there's some conflict, but everybody is mostly fine and they're just living their lives. Like general life conflict, but not crazy, just like down the ballot. These are the things that black people deal with. All black people, no matter where they live, they deal with these exact same things. It's like, that's just simply not true. Nor is he rich and he's like looking down on other black people either, which I appreciate it. So Elijah meets his dad at this address and he comes to find out that his dad is opening a second spot. This one a little bit fancier, not like fancy, but like a little bit fancier and a little nicer than this sort of like rib shack place that we've come accustomed to. And his dad tries to like reach out to him, but not in a way that he is any way successful. He's like, "Hey, look, we got this bar. You can do your wine thing here." And it's just like, that's not what a sommelier is, but okay. I'm not a bartender.
It's the most selfish ass way of trying to appeal to him, right? It's trying to appeal to him in a way that will help me. And
right.
Yeah. All right, all right.
I mean, if he was opening like a nice restaurant, not that this is not a nice restaurant, but like a fancier restaurant, and he was like, "I want you to be the sommelier for my restaurant," that's different. It's a rib spot, yo. Like, come on.
It's not even that it's a rib spot, right? I think the dad is like, "Hey, you could do your wine thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's
or
just
care.
Pouring wine right? It's just pouring wine and serving it, right?" To me, the dad made it seem like he wanted his son to do his wine thing and be a bartender for wine.
Well, I'm not sure that he understands that it's not just a bartender.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's my point, right? Like he doesn't care enough to figure out what a sommelier does. He's just like, wine. Okay. Well, my son likes wine. Maybe I'll just have a wine bar here and then I can get him to run this business and stop all this fucking, sommelier shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's an incredibly selfish way to be, but that's kind of the Courtney B. Vance character. Like it just is.
I get it. I understand it. I think it's great. I think it's a good piece of writing. You know what I mean? I'm just being a Riesling right now. I'm in my feelings.
Don't do that, please. And stop texting young girls. Anyway, so like the first day
about Drake, not me.
Right. So first day of wine school, Elijah's there. You kind of see him going through some classes. They make a point that the first teacher is black, which I thought was important, right? Like he is not the only black character in this universe, or in this part of the wine world. I thought was really a smart move. And then, it's like he's going through all his note cards and stuff like that. Look, if you are interested in the whole sommelier thing, like just want to see like the real deal behind what these people do to get to this level, there's a documentary called SOMM. It was on Netflix, but it for some reason isn't on there anymore. But it follows people going through the process. Yo, you think it's hard in this movie? Nah, nigga. In real life, it's way harder. It's way harder. Like, these guys are just, they got note cards everywhere trying to remember these like super obscure facts. Like, it's kind of crazy, but some of them do. Some of them actually do. So he's like studying all of his note cards, which is a big part of the Sommelier exam. And then his girlfriend decides to like, hey, I want to fuck you. And he's like, yeah, you know what? These note cards are really not that important. You're right. And that would be the answer I would give. So I get it. I found her to be quite attractive. And so, yeah, they do their thing. Then we start to see Elijah with his study group, which is like a Jewish guy. And
so real quick.
Yep.
We briefly get
his name is Harvard, by the way.
We briefly get introduced to this Jewish guy. I don't think the Jewish guy's name is Harvard.
No, that's his nickname.
That's the other guy.
Scandal. No, that's the other.
No, that's the.
Oh, yeah, the guy from Scandal. You're right.
Yeah, the guy from Scandal, and we
plays the
briefly
same character in everything he's in.
That is correct. That's right.
We briefly get introduced to this Jewish guy in an earlier scene right before he goes to see his dad at his new spot, and they cut to a quick flash of the group of people, right? And I'm like, is that Asher from How to Get Away with Murder? And my wife was like,
wait.
and my wife was like, oh yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. He's got a weird accent, but that's him. I look at her like,
Weird accent.
okay. So then we go along.
What?
We go along and she's like, yeah, that's Asher, right? And I'm like, the guy in the glasses? She's like, yeah. I said, no, babe, you're being a racist. That's not Asher. That's just some random Jewish dude.
His name
And
is
she's
Gil.
like, what? Are you sure? I'm like, yes. And then we later see the two of them in the same room. And she's like, oh.
Oh, wait, she saw the other guy. She was like, yeah, that's the same guy.
She saw the guy with the glasses and was like, yo, that's the guy from How to Get Away with Murder.
That's fucking hilarious. They look nothing alike.
They really
You see
don't.
literally every minute of that show. And you can't. Oh, all right. All right. Yeah. You're racist. You're racist.
You're when you just turn to your wife and be like, you're racist in a motherfucker. Like, it's a real problem. It's a real goddamn problem. That's funny.
The other guy is Gil Ozeri.
Yeah, he's a comedian apparently. I thought he was like pretty decent comic relief. He was fine.
He was fine.
Yeah. So him, Elijah and this guy. What's Gil's name? Richie. Yeah, they kind of become fast friends. And then we see the guy from How to Get Away with Murder. They're having a blind tasting in class, which a blind tasting, if you don't know, is you just don't know what the fucking wine is. They give you the wine and you have to tell the year, where it's from, and like what particular kind of wine it is. Which feels fucking impossible to me. I could tell you like probably what kind of wine it is, barring that, no.
White.
Yeah, thank you.
This is a white.
This is a red from the Franzia region.
Franzia. This comes from a box. Yeah, I could probably maybe tell you what particular type of wine it is, but like,
You mean you trying to tell me you can't have a wine battle like these?
nigga, I would lose that battle so fast. I'd be like, this is a red, this is a cab. I got nothing. Like, done. These dudes were like, this is New World. This is from 2006. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? But they drink so much wine. There are ways of telling, which is, I mean, it takes a certain palate to be able to tell it. It's like anything else.
I would be like, yo, y'all niggas is making shit up. Fuck you. Like if Sommelier came to my table, I'm like, you just making up shit. Stop it.
Well, it's really funny. The weirdest thing the weirdest thing I ever had, like I had a wine before, like a particular wine before, and I was at a restaurant, and my wife and I had gone to the restaurant a number of times, so we knew the sommelier there actually, and he was like, "We have that one, but it's from a different year." And because they had an unseasonably warmer summer, like it changed the taste of the wine. That was the only time I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. How the fuck would you even know that unless you read up on it? But like, I was like, okay, it does taste different. But yeah, like, I don't know how you could tell 2008 from 2009. I don't know how the fuck you know that. But I don't. They do. That's why they get paid the money they do. But they also have like, they can tell what kind of other shit is in the wine or near the wine when it grows. So yeah, this guy, he seems like an obnoxious dick. And all I can think is, how could I get away with murdering him? And so he introduces himself to Elijah after the fact, after he beats Elijah in a wine battle, which is the dorkiest thing I've ever heard. And the guy's like, yeah, my name's Harvard. Look, we need a study group. We're never going to pass this without all kind of coming together, which is true. And so him, Richie, and then this other woman, what is her name? Leanne.
I don't think they ever said her name.
I'm just looking in the list. It's Leanne. Yeah, her name is like Mira something.
Yes.
Mira Rohit Kumbani. So they all kind of form a study group, right? Meanwhile, Elijah's back working in his dad's shop. He's like, his dad's giving him a hard time. He's like, look, if you don't take this job serious, I don't make money. And if I don't make money, I can't take your mom to Vegas to see the Blue Man Group. And if she can't go see the Blue Man Group, I'm going to get in trouble.
So that was earlier.
Oh, I thought that was that scene.
This was right before they went to Memphis.
Memphis.
I mean, that's what this
I
is,
mean,
right?
it is. I mean, it's not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, there's tickets to go to like some like all you can eat something CC's or some shit like that.
Right. Yeah, look, they're just regular black folks. Like they're just enjoying their lives and they're just doing their thing, right? So yeah, they go to the Melbas or whatever the fuck it was. Lewis takes Sylvia there. And I did think it was funny. Sylvia's like, oh, look at that woman over there. She got her breasts all hanging out. And he's like, your breasts all hanging out. She's like, my breasts are accentuated. And he was like, yes, they are. Yeah. And spoiler alert, Niecy Nash looked great. So fine with that. I was actually really bummed what happened to her. Because I can always use more Niecy Nash in any movie. So then we find out like the alarm goes off at the restaurant, and Sylvia and Lewis they rush there to find out like, oh shit, what's going on, and they see Elijah there with his girlfriend Tanya, and because the alarm had been set off by them by mistake, and so he ends up introducing his now girlfriend to his parents, and he's like, yeah, I'm cleaning up. I'm getting all this stuff done so I could do my wine group the next day. And his dad is like, huh, all right, so you doing all the shit I told you to do so you can do the shit you want to do. Yeah, you got me. Like basically he was pissed that he had found a way around it, which was kind of funny. And so it's just, you see them like they're at the study group, and they find out, they get an email that their class is being, can do some time in Paris, right? Like this sort of joint study thing, and they can go to Paris. But of course, Elijah can't afford it because it's $10,000. Like, you ain't got no cheaper tickets.
Well, it's for a month.
Well, they're going to be there for a while.
Oh, was it a whole month?
Yeah.
I think multiple months.
That's a long ass time.
Was it multiple? Because
I know it's at least 1 month.
Yeah.
That's still a long time.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, in Paris, it's fucking expensive.
It's funny before you continue, like when he tells him, yeah, I'm here and I'm cleaning everything up before you, before I go do what I have to do. And the mother's like, oh, so you funky now? He's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. It's like, you feeling me? Like,
yeah,
you're right. And he watches as she walks out.
Yeah.
Like,
I just thought Courtney B. Vance was so good. Like his line delivery in this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, I've never seen him in a role like this before.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him a lot in this. So yeah, he finds out, like, he gets invited to this thing at Harvard, or excuse me, in Paris, and Harvard's like, look, man,
you can't ask for money from your parents. Like, nigga, it's $10,000. The fuck? I was like, nigga, get out of my face.
Harvard was like, you need me to just break you off 10 G's? Like, it's no big deal. So Harvard offers to pay half so that Elijah can go. And again, I thought that maybe this was going to be the moment where they were like, they were going to make it like a big racial issue. Like, oh, I'm trying to help a poor black kid out. Not like, I was like, I don't want to hear that. Like, leave me alone. I'd rather just not go than to deal with that.
The funny thing is, me being me and me being older than these people are, apparently.
Right. Like,
that was in my head. I'm like, yo, nigga, my parents don't have no 10 grand to just throw at me. I'm black.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, but like, really, like
the
nerve, nigga. Like,
that's why I'm like, yo, you think what? You can't just ask your parents? Like, no, nigga, I can't.
10,000 liquid that they can burn.
Yeah.
Yo, $10,000 just sitting for you to go to Paris is crazy.
Yeah, that shit was wild.
I'd be like, hold on, I need to pull money from a couple of accounts. I got to take out retirement money, pay a penalty.
Money, but it's Paris. I was like, you gonna give me some money then, nigga? Because I ain't got it.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
That's a crazy amount of money to just have on a whim.
Go half, which is wild.
Yeah. I mean, he offers to pay him half. And of course, when Elijah is telling Tanya this later on, she's like, take it, nigga, what the fuck you doing? Like, let's go. And he feels kind of conflicted about it a little bit. And she's like, basically like, stop making excuses or whatever. And he's like, he gets offended. I forget what he says to her, but it's kind of an insult to her.
He's like, she's like, stop making excuses. And he's like, oh, like,
it's not like you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing.
You just a receptionist.
Yeah.
You're just a nurse. Why don't you go back to school and become? I was like, nigga, you ain't had to say that, nigga. Come on.
Right.
I literally was like, you ain't had to say that. Like, you really didn't have to say that.
He mad. Like, look, I get it. He's mad, but I'm like,
yeah. Like, really?
Yeah, you done fucked up.
Look, I don't believe in astrology, but that nigga's a Cancer.
I don't know astrology. Are you a Cancer?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. One thing I didn't.
Yeah, shit.
One thing. That's a fucked up statement. One thing I'm not buying, at least not me personally. I don't think I could have said something like that, and this argument gets resolved in one evening. No. They make up that night. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. I'd be like, so, my bad. Yeah, it is your bad, nigga. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, you right. Like, please don't say the N word. like
I know you're mad, but like,
please
you can't say that.
You can't say it. She doesn't. Relax. So they make up in one night, which is very like, it's like Cosby Show-esque. Then we cut to a dinner with all of his family, and he's like, he's having this moment where he's like trying to break it down to everybody, like, this is what the wine means, and like Grand Cru means like the best, and all this other shit. And that's when his cousin's like, ooh, this shit is in cursive. like so they're having, like, he's having a good time, and he's trying to explain how winemaking is like doing ribs, right? So he's trying to connect with his father at that time, and like, see, this is just as serious and is as passionate, much like the juxtaposition in the beginning, as what you do, right? Like, to not diminish what he's doing, even though he wants to pursue this thing, and still, not diminish his own thing with wanting to be a sommelier, which is understandable. His dad is not buying that shit at all because his dad's a dick. And then he mentions that he's going to go to Paris. And again, like every black mom, his mom is like, my baby going to Paris? oh, you can't afford it? Oh, you're going to be able to afford it. Like, you going. And so.
And he throws the whole car thing and he's like, yeah, I got to sell my car. He's like, wait, what? You got to sell your car?
Yeah.
Oh, then we got to raise money for you. I was like,
yeah.
All right, nigga.
I see what he doing. He know what he doing.
Yeah.
He knows his mama.
I did. Yeah, he absolutely does. But I did like the part where his cousin was like, yo, you gonna sell the Nissan? You got so many blown tires in there. I was like, yo, like his face when he says, well, he was just like, yo, can you shut the fuck up? My girl's right here. But he's like, yeah, you got so many blown tires all over the place, man. That's crazy. And so, yeah, Sylvia's like, yeah, we are definitely going to, help you out and get you the money so you can go to Paris. Like, my baby going to Paris. And again, that's a black mom, They're going to do whatever they got to do to get you there. So, Courtney B. Vance's character, of course, is pissed. Elijah, then they have a party for him. They got little French style things. Niecy Nash is all kinds of out, which is great for my eyes.
She's very accentuated in this scene.
Good Lord. 15 never looks so good. So at that point, like, there is a moment, and this is where you can call this scene out. You knew where this scene was going to eventually end up in the movie. There's a moment where Elijah brings a bottle of wine to his dad, like in the garage, and he gives his dad this bottle of wine. He's like, I don't drink that. You know your mom drink wine. I don't drink wine. I assume his dad is Terrence. And he tells him that the vineyard that it comes from is run by a father and son, right? So he's trying to reach out to his dad, and his dad is just slapping his hand away. And he's like, oh, this is going to be our last word before I leave. He's like, you ain't going to war. You just going to Paris. Like damn,
he really got on my goddamn.
Yeah, that shit made me. I'm like, all right, nigga. Yeah, you be a dick for no reason though.
Would it have been better?
The fucking owner of this thing once you finished up. Like, did you ever ask if he wanted to?
No.
That's the thing. Like,
does this feel like an immigrant story to you? Like, it also feels like an immigrant story to me. Like the son being like kind of almost like a first generation kid, whereas like a lot of like immigrants will come and start a restaurant or something, and it's like, all right, you going to take it over? Like, no, but I was raised here, dog. I'm going to college. Like, you better get back there and cook this fucking kung pao chicken or whatever the fuck we're making here. Like, that's what it felt like to me too, which I thought was important because again, that's not just a black story. That's a story people outside of the black community can even connect with. There's a restaurant, Micah, you went to it, that Thai restaurant called Thai Restaurant near my old house. Like,
Greenmount.
Yeah, that restaurant's fucking good. That restaurant's really good though. It don't make no kind of sense as good as it is. But that's run by like I won't give the guy's name, but that dude is clearly like an immigrant to this country. And his son also works there. And his son is the most miserable piece of shit I've ever seen. He's just like, yeah, what do you want when you call? Like, he don't give a fuck. Because you can tell he's being forced to be there, and that's not what he wants to do.
But I used to go to this Chinese restaurant down the street in Randallstown. So I've been here. Seen a kid go from a child that was, you could see him behind the counter. He's like 20 something now.
Jesus
Christ. It's fucking wild. And he is a product of his environment. Like, when you talk to him, it's like, no, you sound like a nigga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. But it's wild. Like, I see that. I don't know if he's going to take it over because his mom still works there. Like, it's still the same family. He probably does not at all because he's been there since he was like 6.
Right.
So.
But it's funny. I mean, that pressure to sort of take over your parents' legacy, especially if they have a business, I mean, that's real. And especially if your parents built it and it became like a real security blanket for your kids, right? Like, and you don't want to see
his father's father built it.
Right.
And like, it's a tradition. It was like, I don't want that, yo. Like, I mean, it's cool.
I mean, like, let's say
I get it, but
Right. Let's say that this show and this network blows up, right? Like it would be, I think it would be a little weird if at the end of the day I was like, I just shutter the doors. I'd be like go to my daughter, be like, you ain't trying to drop some movie reviews, my nigga? You don't want to do that? Dad. No, Dad, I don't. Get out of here. Like, I want to be a symphony conductor or some other weird fucking job. So like, but I feel like I'd ask, but like, sure. I mean, I feel like your movie reviews are pretty fire when we're talking about it personally. She'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. I'd be like, all right, you good. You got it. I guess I'll just let it die then. Right?
Right. Trying to throw a guilt trip on him. Like,
yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And?
Yeah. Micah
raised you with the money that we got from this. I wanted to give it to you once you got older.
like
nigga, I don't give a fuck.
I don't.
That's yours.
I don't want your life. I'm like, all right. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Micah's son and my daughter will take over and do the show after we pass on. That's what'll happen. Black on black cinema 2.0. And if Terrence somehow knocks a woman up randomly. Okay, so Micah's son and my daughter only. It'll be a 2-person show. So that would be funny. I mean, like I can totally understand why that would happen. I'd like to think that I would not be that type of person. If they had a natural interest in it, sure. But I'm not going to be like, huh? Like,
but at the same time, right? Like, do you try to push your kid into something, right? Like, what if your kid is not into politics, or worse, is, goes off to college and becomes, Crystal Ball or Candace Owens or whatever their names are?
No, don't put Crystal Ball in the same category as Candace Owens.
That was
Candace
Owens is way fucking worse.
Yeah, okay. Way worse.
I don't know about them people.
Yeah, I mean, if my kid was like, I'm going to Liberty University, I'd be like, who paying for it? Nah, I'm paying for you to get dumber. Get the fuck out of here. Go to a real school.
You're gonna be like, we progressive in this house.
I would be incredibly disappointed that my kid didn't believe in facts. Like that. Like, look, you know what I would do? I wouldn't try to push them. My whole thing, especially like politics, because it means a lot to me, because I think it's fundamental to who you are, right? Like, people are like, I'm a Democrat and it doesn't fucking matter. No, it matters, right? It's fundamental to who you are and how you see the world, right? Whichever the ideology you have. My whole thing is not pushing them to be liberal or progressive, which I am. Like, it would just be, these are facts. Read. And just let the chips fall where they may. Spoiler alert, if my kid can read and understand shit, they're probably not going to be a Republican, because those people are fucking morons. Yeah, that's it. Not worried about it. If they're like Santa Claus is real at 25 years old, I'm like, I'm worried.
But what if the network did make like a lot of money and your daughter grew up in wealth?
I'd be pissed. You better get in here and get in the booth. Drop these reviews. This retirement home ain't paying for itself. I need you to review Tales from the Hood 7. All right? Have some fire takes. Yeah, I mean,
obnoxious.
I think what I would rather, if I knew that my kid, and I think I would know my kid rather well, without being just having complete blinders on. I think if my kid had no interest in like broadcasting or anything like that, then I think I would probably try to find a young person who I thought did have that interest. If I wanted to like pass it on to keep it going, like that's what I would do. I don't think it necessarily has to stay in the family. I'd be like, you missing all this money. Yeah, and she'd be like, fuck you, Dad. And I'd be like, you right. You got it. He about to get paid, just so you know.
You guilt them with a new daughter. Like, hey,
yeah, exactly.
My new daughter. My new daughter really appreciates me.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you do. Classic parenting, right? Treat your, it's best to parent your kid by contest, right? Like that's the way to go.
Well, I need a protege, and you don't want to be.
Your lazy ass ain't doing nothing. Like, Dad, you have to call me lazy? Yes. You ain't doing no work. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the way to do it. I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, I have interest that I hope my daughter takes up.
Yeah.
Like, I do. And, and you kind of try to nudge them into that. But, like, that's hard. Like, it's hard to ride that line between, like, pushing your kid into something and then, like, giving your kid access to something and letting them sort of choose it, right? Or sometimes your kids are just interested in the thing that you do because you do it, right? They're just like, oh shit, my dad or my mom is really into that thing and they do it all the time. I'm going to just be interested in that just because of like you just being in their orbit or them being in your orbit rather. So I don't know. I think it's a little hard to say. I don't know how you easily ride that line. Skipping ahead, we find out Sylvia's cancer is back when she goes to the hospital while Elijah is in Paris. And they refuse to tell Elijah because they don't want to fuck up his time there and like force him to come back or anything like that. Micah, you were shaking your head.
No, I was just imagining being in Paris right now because Paris is great.
Would you want your parents to tell you if something was happening to one of them like that?
Yeah, I would. And I would come back.
Yeah, I would too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't lie to me. Like, don't do that.
Don't keep me in the dark. I don't.
Especially not no shit like that. Like, no,
Right.
Don't do that.
No. And if my sister didn't tell me, I'd be fucking furious. I'd be furious. I'd be mad at you. Like, I understand what your parents wouldn't tell you, but I'd be like, you got to tell me. Like, that, no. Don't do that.
Yeah.
While in Paris, Elijah is riding around on his bike, and he actually makes it into the black part of Paris, which was good. So he was like, oh, black people exist here. That's great. They don't dwell on too much, but I think he feels a little bit like, okay, I'm not here by myself, basically. Then we get a scene of Elijah talking to Harvard, and Harvard's dad is like, look, you need to bring your ass home and work with my accounting firm so I can pay you oodles of money, even though you have no experience.
Stop all this fucking wine drinking shit.
Yeah, all this bullshit. Get a real job. And so because of that, Elijah doesn't have his $5,000 or the half of the money because Harvard is leaving right away. So he's then forced to get like little shitty jobs in France, like working in places he don't even speak French, working in like a Slovaki restaurant or some shit like that. So that was so he's sort of back to hustling to try to make it. We get a scene where he's waiting on these two people, and they really piss me off. And then you come to find out that it was just a test in a class where they were working on like actually dealing with a shitty customer and how to deal with that, which is a part of the test, like learning how to actually not just know wine, but talk about it and offer suggestions and things like that is the point. And he fails it because he gets nervous and he starts to get like, he gets a little homesick. He calls his girlfriend. She's out partying with her friends, which would have pissed me off. Just don't pick up the phone. Like, I don't want to talk to you and 9 of your friends screaming in the background. Like, just don't pick up the phone. Just text me back later on, like, hey, I'm with a bunch of crazy people. Like, I'll call you back in an hour. That's fine. Like, don't pick up the phone with your friends screaming in the background. I will hang up. Like, I don't like playing on my phone. Like, don't do it. I don't.
I don't like talking on the phone.
I don't either.
So if I fucking call you, you better be ready to fucking talk.
Yeah.
Or don't pick up the phone.
Yeah, I don't like that, yo. Like, my number one thing, I will hang up on my mother, and I've done it before. Don't talk to other people while you're talking to me on the phone. It makes me insane. Just have a conversation with them. Just call me back. It's fine.
My thing is, it's just too fucking loud. I don't like loud noises. I don't. Like, they had music playing and they were screaming, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on here?
Click.
Click.
Call me when you get to a tea shop, all right? Like, no, I need it quiet. So then we find out the bank calls Lewis to tell him that he got a $1,500 transfer, which doesn't seem like a lot of money for a bank to call you about, but okay, you run a business. But it is transferred to Paris. So he goes to see Sylvia at home, and he's like, "Did you send that boy $1,500?" And she's like, "Yeah, he needed it." And he's like, "Look, basically, fuck them kids. That's rib money." And so he was a little pissed about that. Meanwhile, we find out Sylvia dies soon after that. They don't dwell on this a lot. Did you feel like they should have?
No, you don't need to dwell on death. That feels like, quite frankly, it feels like it's cheating to try and drive emotion. These next couple of scenes were emotional enough. And I feel like the way that they don't dwell on it is the way that men tend to handle stuff like this.
That's a good point.
Because we are very afraid of emotion for whatever reason. But let me tell you something, yo. When my mother dies, or God forbid if my wife dies before me, I'm going to be a fucking wreck. Like somebody better fucking be over here with me because I'm gonna fucking lose it. Yeah. I'm not gonna be calm. I'm not gonna be fucking nope. Can't do it.
Oh,
I can't even think about the shit right now. Like but that's how men are trained to be, right? They're
anger
trained to be so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
And
no, don't expect a podcast with my name on it at all. If we're still doing this, and when my mom passed, don't call me, yo. Don't. Nope. Don't. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to nobody for like a month. I don't. I hate everybody.
And I'm gonna need to talk to my dad, right? Like I'm gonna need to fucking communicate. Like these two don't communicate. They still are very standoffish, and I get it, right? Because dad's probably going upstairs to cry, right? Because and he don't want to cry in front of his son and all that shit, right? Like that's the same way my dad is. I saw my dad cry once. I didn't see my dad cry when his son died. Because he did a good job of hiding it from me. But I saw him, the only time I saw him cry was when his brother died. And it wasn't even like bawling. It was just like
single tear kind of thing.
Tear, just, still got that deep ass voice, not shaking and all that shit, man. Like,
yeah.
Yo,
do you, I mean, you on the show have said before that you wouldn't cry in front of your son, or you try not to.
I try not to.
Yeah.
But because that's how
you're raised.
Did it. I'm gonna try not to, but
yeah,
I'm gonna tell him he can cry in front of me because I want to be that rock. I want to be that shoulder that he can come to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to come to him with my problems. That's what my wife is for, quite frankly.
Right.
I mean,
help me. God damn it, help me. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, I've obviously never cried in front of my daughter. Just nothing has happened. I punch a hole in a door. That's a whole other story. I was pretty bad about that. You guys know that story.
Yeah.
I believe Terrence's response was, "That sounds like me."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
I mean, look.
Well, I'll do.
A hole needs to be punched in something.
Look. I will promise I will do a premium episode just about that story. Just about that story, because it's worth it. It's worth it. That's going to be my first screenplay. Mike and I are going to write that. That's going to be the movie. That's going to be the movie we do. Whew. So many twists and turns. So, yeah, it's... I mean, look, it's so funny. My daughter really doesn't cry. She's just like fucking little Matt Murdock. She's a daredevil. She falls and she's just like, "I'm good." I'm like, "Okay, like we're just not gonna cry. All right, I got it. You can. It's fine." But as far as like emotion and being able to deal with, like, if my wife died, I think I would be a hot ass mess. Are you serious? Like, Yeah. And they've been married for like
I could
arguably 30 plus years.
Very long. You're
Right. I mean, their kids are at least in, like his older sister's at least like late 20s, early 30s. So at minimum, they're probably roughly married at least that long. So I can't imagine. Or like losing my mom. I can't imagine. I can't. I saw my mom today and she was wearing a mask just so she could see my daughter. And I was kind of upset about that. Is she alive? Like in my twisted brain, I'm like, my mom is sick. Like, what the fuck we doing? Like, my mom's fine. Like, you know what I mean? But like, just in that sort of the way my brain works, that's kind of how I saw it. And like, that fucked me up. So I just can't imagine like my mom actually being sick or like having an issue, and then her passing away. I can't imagine that. So I don't know. I think, like, one thing I try not to do is I try not to be like the cool dad or the tough dad or any of that. Like, no, I'm not any of those things. Like, I'm not. I'm sure we'll get a comment. Oh, you a bitch ass nigga. Yeah, I'm a bitch ass nigga. Whatever. I'm emotionally normal. But like, I try to just try to be normal and reasonable with her. Like, that's the best I can do. Sometimes I get pissed. Sometimes doors get punched, but it's rare. So like, it's the best I can do. What about you, Terrence? You a mama's boy?
I mean, to a certain extent. Yeah, when she passes, it's going to be a wrap for me. You ain't nothing you can say.
Right.
Because I've been through quite a few deaths. I have a lot of family left. As far as like the old folks in my family, they're all dead. I've been through like 10 funerals in the last 15 years.
Yo, you had mad funerals for like, there was like a 2-year period.
It was like 2 or 3. It's a lot.
Jesus Christ.
Like, yo, stop texting us this shit. It's like, Jesus Christ, are you making this up?
So I'm more well equipped to deal with something like that. But it doesn't matter. Like when my father died, I went to work that day. I didn't know what to do.
How many years ago was that?
That was 2009.
Okay.
It was 11 years ago. I went to work. We were in the hospital that morning and he passed. That wasn't fun. And I'm like, yo, I don't know what to do. I can't be in this house because everybody's fucking miserable right now. So I went to work. I don't know why. I don't know how the fuck I got through the day. And I was working with Jack at that time and he was like, you sure you want to be here? I'm like, I ain't got shit else to do. Because I just didn't want to be home. Right. But then when I got home, I think at that time, like that before that, a year and a half prior, my grandmother passed.
Ugh.
So that wasn't fun. But yeah, I wanted to, if I lose my mother before I go, like, it's gonna be bad. It is. And even though I've been through it several times, it still hurts every time, regardless of who it is. But that one is going to hurt a little bit different. That one is going to hit differently, as they say. Yeah. But yeah, I don't give a fuck who sees me. I'm gonna be curled up in a ball on the floor.
Right, but you're allowed to. I mean, yeah. But I think, I mean, Courtney B. Vance's character has that sort of like,
he's an old school father,
right? Like, I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna cry for 5 minutes, I'll make a steak, I'm gonna come downstairs, right? Like, but I do think we do ourselves, and I think Micah's point is a good one, right? Which is, you try to let the buck stop with you, right? And try to make it better for your kids. Yeah. But yeah, there is that aspect, and look, it's not just black men, right? It's men of that generation and older. Like, it just is, where it's just like this quiet reserve. You take your feelings, you push them down onto a shelf, and you fucking yell at other people about some random shit later. And that is sort of what we have to get past, right? And it is weird that after Niecy Nash's character dies, like, they're not like, oh, bring it in here, son. Like, they just still like, can't fucking connect. And it's wild. Like, that's a wild scenario to me.
That shit is fucking real.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
I mean, I think it
That's
happens
really
to a
good
lot of
fucking
folks.
writing. Like it just is.
What's that?
That's really good writing. This is a good fucking movie.
Yeah, and and it's impressive. It's impressive in its like simplicity because everybody can go, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we've seen that, and without going,
You've seen it or been through it, like shit.
right, without him being like, I'm gonna go up to my room and cry quietly. Like, thanks, Tyler Perry, or if it was a Lee Daniels movie, he would have said that as he walked up the stairs. Don't come up here. I'm quiet. I'm crying alone. Like, because of my generation, that's how we handle it. Like, yeah, we know. Would you like this bucket of chicken to have a fat girl run down the street with it? Like, thanks. We got it. So from there, we have a moment which I thought was actually really quite good because it allows Elijah to sort of deal with losing his mom too. He's in a study group. It's kind of like you said, Terrence, like you just went to work when you lost your dad. Like you didn't know what else to do. Elijah's like, I guess I'll just go to my fucking study group then, right? To try to deal with this, like to get my mind off of it. And as he's doing like a blind tasting, as he's describing the wine, he sort of has flashes of his mom. And he just
really good. This scene, I'm like,
yeah, no, it's good. It's very good.
I was just like,
you got me, movie.
rough, yeah, they did.
And so sort of these flashes of his mom and like this wine is old and like, like complex and stuff like that. And
they flash back to a red dress. I'm like,
yeah, it's good writing, man. It's just really, really good writing. Just really good work. And so he kind of breaks down and he leaves. And what I also liked is, Richie and Leanne, who are standing there as he's doing this, like they don't say anything. They're just like, at first they're like, you don't need to do like, you good? And he's like, oh no, I'm fine. And he's just going through it and they're just watching it, which I thought was good because he didn't need to have any sort of color commentary. Like just let him go through it and you watch him go through that emotional toil, like in real time, which I thought was just, again, very, very good. We then get a scene where Elijah goes and he's talking to his dad at the new spot before it opens. And you come to find out that Lewis actually did want to do something before taking over his father's business. He wanted to be a school teacher. So it's like that moment where like they connect on that. But then Elijah's like, he kind of laughs. He's like, you want to be a school teacher? He's like, yeah, I want to teach young black children to read. What's wrong with that? That's beautiful.
he was like, you're right.
It's like,
This was before,
that is beautiful.
Is this before or after we found out that Elijah, I think it's before. Yeah, it's before.
Yes, it's I think, is it the next scene?
Yeah, I think it's the next scene.
Before what?
Okay.
Elijah quits.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, you find out that he quit school, and he goes and he starts like he's there putting the wood in the smoker at 4 a.m. His dad gets there. He starts like kind of throwing himself into all of his work, and basically the guy who's in charge of the sommelier program is like, look, if you quit now, you have to start, if you decide to come back, you have to start all the way over. Right. Which is, that's an important note because you can't just come back and fucking take the final exam and then you be good. Right. Like it doesn't work like that. So then he has to tell Tanya that he quit school. And he's like, look, it's just not a good time and all this other stuff. And they have like a little bit of it's not an argument, but they have a little bit of bit of contention because she's kind of disappointed in him.
Yeah, because she realizes what we realize, that he's using the death of his mother as an excuse because, he legitimately might not be into it right now because of everything that's going on.
Right.
But he also might be scared.
Right.
He's a basket case right now. And what do? You go to work.
Right. And you do something, you do the, right, exactly. But you also, you know, you go with the devil that you know. Right? It might not be the thing that you want to do, but you know you're good at it and you can do that thing. Right? Where, you know, changing careers is a risk. It's a major, major risk. Especially for somebody like him, because it's a risk in something like, while similar in like the passion of it, it is totally different. Like you're not going from like running a rib shop to running a slightly different type of restaurant. Like they're completely different things. And again, like you said, his mind is completely bonkers. He goes after like really connecting with his dad and like working with his dad in the business. They go to get a drink at a bar, and his dad is like orders like a whiskey neat, right? And then you see Elijah order a wine, and he's having this like in-depth conversation with the bartender, like, oh, I'll have this and da da da. Like, I heard this particular cab and Shiraz blend was great. And so his father really kind of recognizes like, oh, this nigga for real. Like he really is into this, yeah. Which is hilarious to me. And so that they kind of connect in that regard. Then from there, we see a scene where, like, at that moment in the bar, his dad really connects with him. He's like, okay, you're actually taking this seriously. Like, you really love this thing that I didn't realize it was that big of a deal for you. Clearly it is. And he also realizes, like, as a respect for Sylvia, he needs to try, and where he hadn't tried before when she was alive. And so he begins, like, they show this scene that I thought was really great of all the note cards. They're all taped up all over the refrigerators and everything, because they're starting to, him and his dad and his cousin are all quizzing him, and like, all right, they do what black people do. They come together to try to push, you know, one of us. All right, you're going to be a sommelier. You're going to be the blackest sommelier ever. And we all going to get you over the line. And so they do their thing. Like, his cousin drives him, you know, across town or whatever to like the test, I guess. His dad is quizzing him all the time, and like, they're going to do it, right? Like, they're together. They're going to make it happen.
His dad gave him his grandfather's suit, his father's suit, for good luck, I guess. But it wasn't lucky. But
it was lucky. It was lucky that it fit like a glove.
Thank you. It was perfectly tailored.
Right.
His grandfather was the exact same size, build, shape as his grandson.
Well, maybe he took it.
Show don't tell. This is a movie. Okay.
I just thought that was hilarious.
The story was funny because he's like, yeah, this is like your grandfather went to the bank to get a loan in this suit. Like, oh, he got it. He's like, no, that nigga didn't get it. He wanted it at a dice game.
He wanted it at a dice game. That shit was funny. He was like, he went to ask for a loan in the 1950s. Like, no, of course not. He won that suit in a dice game. That's just fucking hilarious. Yeah, my wife was like, huh, that suit sure fits quite well to be his grandfather's suit.
I thought it was a different suit. I thought they took it. They were like, I ain't wearing this goddamn suit, nigga. I can't fit it.
He should have put it on once, and it was just draping over. He's like, I'm gonna just put my other suit on. Like, let's stop playing around. So then he goes, and he takes the Master Sommelier exam. And he has to wait overnight to find out the whether or not he passed.
He sees his boy there,
Richie,
white guy.
Yeah, he sees Richie there.
Hey, Richie.
And so keep in mind, Richie had continued to take the courses and did the Master Sommelier exam.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Elijah stopped taking the courses and then just went and sat for the exam. Like, fuck it, I've been studying. I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can pass. One of the scenes that I loved actually the most in this movie was when Elijah's in this hotel room waiting for the results, he's up all night just like watching TV or whatever. His dad shows up, and his dad shows up again. You could have called this a million miles away. His dad brings in the wine that he brought him earlier, but he does something else that I thought was powerful and smart in the writing, which was he also brought dominoes. Right, it was like a little bit of your world, a little bit of the world you came from. Right, and I thought that was a nice blend. It wasn't just like let's sip wine and talk about wine. Like nigga, Lewis makes ribs for a living.
I
Like,
don't know nothing about this goddamn wine.
Right.
Like, I know about these fucking dominoes though.
right, and I thought that was cool. Like that was a clever play. Again, never allowing Elijah to completely dismiss where he grew up, even though he's into this thing. I think that's an important way to handle the character, and they do them well. And so they sit and they play dominoes and they drink the wine, and they reconnect in that moment, which is really wonderful. The next day, Elijah goes back in to find out whether or not he passed the test. He comes out, he did not pass. And there is a moment, if you look, there's a moment when he comes out of the room and he looks at his dad and he shakes his head and says, shakes his head no. Like you can see like there's that steel fucking reserve that Courtney B. Vance has, but he has a level of like brokenheartedness.
Yeah, he felt it.
Yeah.
Because he knew that his son really, really wanted it. And
Right.
he was like, and I want it for him. And yeah, he felt it.
Yeah. And I thought that was good. Like that, like he wasn't just like, all right, well,
I told you.
I told you, nigga. Now we get back to the bar. But it was, that was important, right? Like he felt that same pain that he did at the end. And so then we get a scene, Elijah's working at, he's back, they're back in town. He's in the back of the new secondary restaurant. His father comes back there and he's talking to him, and Elijah's like, I gotta hire a new waitress. And he's like talking all this stuff. He's clearly good at the job, but it's clear that he doesn't love the job. Right. And again, that's where Lewis, Courtney B. Vance's character, he's like, he feels it like a little bit. He's like, he sees that his son is miserable, even though his son is good at this job, but it's not what his son wants to do. And he's cognizant enough of the situation to realize that. Then we see a scene where, Lewis is, getting some more wood from this like distributor, and Elijah calls basically, is like, look, I can't make it. And you just come to find out that Elijah goes and re-enrolls in school, and you see him starting the sommelier classes all over again, because he's planning on finishing it. And you see him in class doing a blind test of one of the wines, like basically showing like, yes, he didn't get it, but he's going to try again, which is common because there's only 274 sommeliers in the fucking world, or master sommeliers.
I'm glad he didn't
Richie
pass.
was one of them.
Yes,
Right,
I'm glad he didn't
to
pass
the,
too.
They go to the restaurant. He and his girlfriend go to the restaurant, and Richie shows up, and he became a fucking master sommelier. You see him, he got the pin. It's like, oh damn,
Yeah.
fuck that. Like I'm taking my black ass back.
Right. I can let this guy.
Dumb.
Right. I was better than him. Right.
Here's a quote from Prentice Penny regarding the ending of this movie. Originally, the ending was he passed the test, because I was like, oh yeah, he should pass. I put the script down because I was working on other stuff, and then I came back to it, obviously with fresh thoughts. And one of the immediate thoughts I had was, oh, he has to fail. Like, that's the whole point, right? It's what you do. It's what do you do when you don't get the goal, which is kind of what his dad's point is. Part of becoming a man is like, what do you do when you fall down?
Right.
That's really what he wants for his son. To me, it was just false that he would get everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that makes
originally he was supposed to have the classic like Hollywood happy ending.
I think I would have taken a couple, because as I was watching it, I'm like, he can't pass.
Right.
Like he dropped the fuck out. Like, you can't pass, dog. I didn't know there was only 200 some of them niggas in the goddamn world.
Yeah.
But like that's a lot.
Yo, Richie wouldn't have passed either. How about that?
Right.
Yeah. But I like the ending of perseverance.
Yeah. He's
like,
nah, fuck that. I'm coming back. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I mean, we've talked about this in other aspects, but to me, that is one of the things that black people are almost never afforded. Right. It's one of the most damaging things that people don't talk about, which is we are not allowed to fail and come back. White people fail and come back all the fucking time. That's a common thing. But we are not allowed to fail and come back. And so to have an ending of him failing and then keep going and trying again, that's powerful. Like that, there's a power in that perseverance. So I like that ending a lot. Like I was glad that it wasn't just I didn't pass and I'll just be the wine expert at your dad's restaurant. Like, no, fuck that. That's not what you wanted to do. You wanted to be a master sommelier. And maybe he fails it a second and third time. Maybe he does. But maybe he passes on the fourth time.
The dude that he was working with, the white guy, he's like, yeah, I felt that shit twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, he's like, if you want to do it,
his boss,
that shit's hard. I failed it twice.
Yeah. And it's super common.
He never said he passed it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I failed it twice and then I started running this wine shop because I needed money. So yeah, it is interesting. So there's like one of the things I sort of touched on earlier, just real quick. So there's the introductory exam, which like you basically do 2 days of classes followed by an exam. And if you pass that, you get an introductory lapel pin and a certificate. That does not mean that you are a sommelier, right? Like that's just to get you in the door. Then you have to be a certified sommelier, which is most sommeliers in restaurants. And then there's an advanced sommelier. Then there's the master sommelier, which you have to be invited to that. Like you have to be like have 10 years in the industry, yada, yada. You have to be invited generally to sit for that exam. So it's not just everybody. It says the typical pass rate for a master sommelier exam is around 3 to 8% of applicants. In some instances, in some instances, as few as 1 in 70 have succeeded. The master sommelier exam is offered twice per year in the U.S. and once per year in the U.K. On average, candidates sit for the exam 2 to 3 times, and some take the test as many as 6 times. Only 9 people have ever passed the master level on the first try. Some attempt the exam up to 12 times before passing.
Wait, 9% or 9 people?
9 people. 9.
God damn. It's like trying to become a fucking Navy SEAL.
Yeah, of wine.
That's nuts.
The Navy SEAL of wines. And by the way, it's only been around for 43 years. It's not like it's been around for 200 years, right? Like, I feel like every time one person makes it to a master sommelier, one of them dies. Like, it's just the cycle of life. But that's crazy, man. That's
fucking
super crazy.
Highlanders.
Yeah. I did think about doing the introductory at one point. I thought that would be kind of cool. And maybe a certified, but anything other than that, like, nigga, that's a full-time ass job. Like, no. I just like to know more about wines because I just find it interesting. But, yeah, that's crazy. No. And look, Terrence, you find out about beer as well. So there you go. You're halfway there. They have 1 day on beer. Beer. Make sure it's cold. That's it.
Right.
These drunks will drink anything. You can have anything you want, just as long as it's a Corona, and that's it. Any other parting words before we get out of here?
My wife just sent me a text message saying that I have 12 minutes until Insecure comes on. So I'm glad we're wrapping up.
Okay, well, there you go. I am not caught up on that show. Terrence, any thoughts?
No.
All right.
I'm gonna go.
I want some ribs.
Yeah, I really do. Shit.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, man.
Yeah, I was shocked.
And I look forward to seeing
Negroes were right.
I look forward to seeing more.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I look forward to seeing more stuff from this director as well. What's his name? Prentice Penny. Is that his real name? His name is odd. All right. All right. That's it for us, and we will see you guys with another episode for preview episode for episode 173.
See ya. Take it easy.
Bye. You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of Black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the Black community.